Hello, everyone. I am so excited for this conversation today with the lovely. Today, are going to talk about how to show up and shine online. This is Kate Wolf's area of expertise. Welcome, Kate. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It is my pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Hi, everyone.
Absolutely gorgeous. So this is a subject that's particularly close to my heart because in terms of showing up and shining online in my business, it was the scariest thing. It was one of my biggest blocks. And it felt like this huge, terrifying mountain to overcome. And what's wonderful is Kate's got some incredible tips and tools for you. So to help you if that's something that's going on for you in your business and your life, how to show up and shine. So I'm so delighted to share this very valuable conversation with you guys today. Please say hello if you're joining us live. And if you're catching the replay, please say hello as well. And we'd love to have some interaction with you. So we're going to dive in. I'm going to introduce Kate Wolf to you. So Kate Wolf went from professional clown to six-figure CEO. I love that. She supports coaches, healers, writers, and speakers to build businesses that balance their unique magic with tried and tested mechanics, resulting in easeful and joyful growth. Kate has spent 8 years in the field working with hundreds of brilliant business owners, helping them to trust their ability to communicate and turning bland or confusing messages into brands that beam with personality. She will help you speak from the heart with clarity, purpose, and concision, articulating the message and offering that will attract your just right clients to your business door so that you get to both fill up your bank account and feel truly fulfilled. What a gorgeous, gorgeous body of work. Welcome, Kate. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Oh, so happy to be here. Getting to shine alongside you. I must say, you're looking particularly gorgeous and shining today, Lara. Yay.
Well, thank you. Well, we're shining online. I'll have my bling.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. What I would love to ask you first is really what I have definitely had to overcome. I know many people are facing, which is fear. The fear of showing up and shining online. So what do you feel is the purpose of fear? Like why fear? Why do we have to face this? And what's going on?
Yeah, so let's talk about that specific fear, right? Because they do say that people are more scared of public speaking than death. And then you take into account that online, when you're showing up online, you can't see your audience. Right. So there's an actual sensory deprivation and lack that at least when you're standing on a stage, you can like see the humans, right? Other humans, you know who's in the room. When you're doing a Facebook Live or an Insta Live or whatever online, you don't know who's going to be there, who's going to be watching, who's going to be listening, who's going to be seeing you. So there's so much that is unknown about it and can feel so vulnerable. And it taps into our individual, but very, very common collective fears of being disbelieved, of being rejected for who we are, for what we're saying, of being ridiculed. Right? I know that I've got clients who are concerned that people from their past lives or other parts of their lives are going to see them showing up online, perhaps talking about their work, perhaps talking about how they can help people. And they might be thinking like, who are you? Who are you to say you can do that? Like, I know your life's a shambles, or I know 20 years ago you were in bed with depression. Like, who are you to say that you can help people? Like, so many fears come up. And I think particularly for women, and particularly for women who are deeply tuned in, whose work by its nature is different, right? Is not mainstream, does use intuition, does step into magical, psychic, otherworldly, feeling, sensory, emotional perhaps sensual, sexual realms, right? All the taboos of like, of course it's going to be scary. And you've got things in there as well, like fear of being persecuted, you know, old ancient wounds, the witch wound, that perhaps in our culture today are not realistic, but they're still running through our veins and our bodily memories. So all of this is to say that if you are scared of getting visible, of showing up online, of not just showing up online, but daring to shine, right? Daring to show up and say, hey, like, I've got something that might help you. I've got something that might help you to listen to. I've got something you might want to pay me for, right? We bring in money as well. It's literally putting all the things that are scary into one action. And I know that the first time I went live on Facebook, I quite literally sat there in freeze for 20 minutes. I had my finger hovering over the go live button, and I just sat there completely frozen for 20 minutes. And that's what really brought my consciousness to just how terrifying this is. And it's not for everyone. Some people are just like, yeah, I'll go live, right? And like, you know, to them. But for those of us who perhaps are a bit more sensitive, who aren't willing also to override those physiological signs from our body, who are in touch with them, it's a thing, right? It's a really big thing. And my belief in lots of different areas, and this is one of the places it shows up, is that the gift is in the wound, right? They're in the same place. The wound, the shadow, and the gift. They're hanging out. They're hanging out in the same place. And if we have a lot of fear about showing up and shining online, it's probably for us, right? That direction is probably something that is going to lead to ginormous growth for us in the form of freedom, right? In the form of liberation from the fear of what will people think, liberation from the fear of being rejected, liberation perhaps even from the fear of being persecuted. It's a way that you can take this seemingly mechanical action, right, of hitting live, and actually turning it into a healing tool. First of all, for yourself. And then if we go more specifically into this and into what you might be saying, for example, you know, I have clients who say like, I can't say that, right? Like, that's too much. I'll share this, and this. Like, I'll talk about, you know, the outcomes of the work, but I will not talk about the messages that I receive from spirit, or whatever unique thing it is that they are individually scared of doing. And the way I think about it is like that game you played when you were a kid, right? The like cold, warm, right? It's like when you get close to something that you're really meant to be talking about, meant in a kind of purposeful, like, this is for you, this is part of who you are, this is part of your purpose, this is part of why you came here. The fear is gonna go louder, right? Like an alarm, like, no, oh my God, because something in you knows that if you speak that out loud, everything is about to change. And we all know that we have parts of us that are scared of change, and then they're going to try to keep us doing what we know, right? And not doing the new. So what is beautiful, what is brilliant, what is empowering, and also just really practical, is that when you feel that specific fear of not that, I can't say that, that is actually a directive, right? That's like spirit, source, God, the universe speaking to you through your fear, saying that, like that, right? There's aliveness for you there. There's freedom for you there. There's liberation for you there. And there's a life more fully lived on purpose for you there. So that's how I see fear. I really see it as, in this context, as a directive, as a guide towards a life lived more fully on purpose.
It sounds like a healing tool, right? Like growth and evolution. You're just talking about the wound and the gift.
Yeah.
And so it's incredibly powerful what you're saying. And I've faced that over and over again and can verify. Yes. But oh my goodness, right? When you're about to step in, especially if it's the first time you're doing something, it can feel, I don't know, for me, not to be dramatic, but it would sometimes feel like I'm going to my death. Like my persecution fear was so strong. I was like, I'm going to be taken down. And then I remember I had the same thing hovering over like the download button on YouTube, and actually nothing happened. And then I think slowly through like taking action into it, you're like, oh, right. Kind of I found one step at a time. It would kind of like, I'd heal through doing.
Yes, and that is the only way, right? There is, of course, and probably those of you listening, many of you use these tools, right? Of course, there are healing tools we can use, whether it's voice dialogue or EFT or theta healing. Of course, there is like this energetic approach we can take to heal why we're scared. But ultimately, the healing, I truly believe, comes from doing it. And like you said, Lara, doing it and then going, oh my God, like I didn't die.
Yeah.
Like literally giving yourself the experience of doing the thing that part of you thought might lead to death, and doing it and not dying. And that is how you get to rewire your neurology, your physiology, your expectations of what these actions are going to lead to. And what I have discovered beautifully again and again is that in place of the like hordes of people coming and commenting, who do you think you are, and how dare you, and I can't believe you said that, and I am so offended. In place of that, there's been gratitude and thank you. And thank you. I was feeling that, but I didn't know how to articulate it. And now I can like comprehend it more fully in my own body. And thank you, I feel less alone. And thank you, that's exactly what I needed to hear today. And it's like, it's exquisite. It's exquisite.
Yeah. So it was like the opposite. Like from my fears is like actually the opposite happens. The opposite started happening where like you start attracting in ideal clients. Yeah. So it's so interesting what the fear says versus what the reality. So that's amazing.
And that's why, like, let's just land that really clearly, right? When you speak about the thing you're scared of speaking about, which I believe is a directive, is saying like, this is for you to speak about, right? This is you now living more fully on purpose. That is when you start attracting ideal clients, because you're now more on purpose, right? So it's a beautiful healing practice. It's also very good and wise and clever business practice.
100%. Amazing. Yeah. We could talk about this one subject probably for hours because it's so deep and rich. We could. I want to ask, so the next step, so like you start to then maybe have that courage to move forward and start posting online. The next challenge, right, is like the internet is so busy. It's so busy. Like everyone's talking about the same thing, it seems sometimes, and it's like an overcrowded market and all this stuff. How can people like stand out amongst all the noise and all the busyness? And like it just looks like it's all swamped and it's too busy and too noisy. How do people really stand out and shine online?
Yeah, it is busy, right? It is busy. It is a bit of a swamp, and a lot of the energy is very similar. It's like kind of tit for tat and a bit of moaning and a bit of judging, and it's all like fairly low vibrational, if we want to use that language. So one of the most powerful ways to stand out and shine online is to raise yourself way, way, way above any of that. So for your own sanity, but also as good business practice, right? To just not be receiving that for yourself, like to block, you know, to really curate your own feed so you're inspired, right? So you're much more likely to be in an inspirational energy and wanting to share. And then what I believe is that the energy you create from creates. So if you're in an inspired, in tune with your heart, in tune with the universe place, and you show up and you speak from there or you write from there, that energy is then going to go forward and create, right? So it's going to create engagement, it's going to create comments, it's going to create goodwill, it's going to create people wanting to continue following you and learning what you have to offer and coming to your workshops and getting on sales calls and working with you and paying you. So it's, for me, it's energy first, always is how you stand out, like above the noise. If you even take a moment to feel into the energy of most of the voices on social media, it's very like blah, 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 blah. Like no one's really saying much. No one's really saying much that is unique, that is thoughtful. And so even just a couple of steps above that, right? Sharing something that is thoughtful or is caring or is good, already you're now sharing good energy that people enjoy receiving and want more of. And the thing that stops the scroll the most is your name, right? So if you start and you commit to only sharing things which are inspirational, exciting, uplifting, funny, right? And you don't ever moan, like things like moaning about tactics, for example, that other people are doing, like you bothering to use your social media page to say, oh, someone sent me a private message and it was really, just don't do that. It's boring, right? It's a waste of your social media space. And if you're only ever sharing things which people love hearing and make them smile or make them feel something or make them think something new, then your name, whenever you share something new, is going to be like a little unconscious link for them that they stop and they want to read or they want to watch whatever you're sharing. And what a lot of us do is we get inspired, right? We write something. Maybe you're going to listen to this and then you're going to go away later and you're going to go, yes, that thing that I've been scared of saying, I'm going to do it, right? And you write it out and then you read it back. You start judging it. The voice comes back in that worries what other people might think, and it doesn't go anywhere. So what's now happened is you've edited your own voice, your own freedom of self-expression by the imaginary opinion of what other people might think. Like that's literally giving your power away and stopping yourself. And that is going to continue until you put a spoke in that wheel and do something to get free again. That's going to continue in a limiting spiral. But if you instead, from now on, let yourself express, right? Write what you want to write, say what you want to say on a video, and only edit by your own internal value system, right? Do I fully believe this? Does this feel good? Is this true for me? And you share that, oh my goodness, are you going to be someone who stops the scroll, right? I was working with a client recently on a post about this kind of someday thing that people quite often say on sales calls, like, it's not for now, I think it's for someday. And she was having this like amazing, fiery response to this someday myth, right? And she wrote this post and she shared it. And then someone said to her, well, we all know what you think about someday. So this person clearly got triggered, right? So now my client has a decision to make, right? Does she edit her own expression because she's triggered someone? Or does she go, wow, good. I'm glad you will now know what I think about someday, right? Because I do think that about your use of the someday, and I stand by that. And then she gets to grow, and she gets to grow into a deeper trust of her own voice, her own knowing, her own opinions. And this is how, right? This is how, in a much bigger way than any kind of tactical things I could teach you in this limited time, right? Of course, there's like things we can play with that stop the scroll, that have you stand out. But on an energetic level and an inner world level and emotional level, it's this, right? It's get inspired, live a life that inspires you, curate your life to inspire you, let yourself share, and only ever edit by your internal value system, never the imaginary opinions of other people.
Good advice. And also, because I remember really trying to, when I started sharing content at first, was like, how do I share this without triggering anyone? How do I share without creating any upset? Like, it becomes a sort of watered down, sort of vanilla, like it doesn't land, and doesn't kind of, it doesn't land. And so it's, for me, it was ineffective that way, but also it's not authentic. It wasn't honest. I think people can kind of feel that when you're not really behind what you're saying, but it takes the power with the energetics. I'm really interested in it. So it seems to leak the power of what you're trying to say. So it's really profound what you're saying. Sometimes challenging, right? To really have to put in and trust yourself and trust your voice and face all the fears that come up with that too. But beautiful wisdom. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so I have one more question I wanted to ask you, because you're clearly someone who's, manifested a lot of your dreams. You've created a lot of amazing things in your life, and you've helped many people do the same. Can you share a little bit of like some of your top tips on how you do that and how you help other people do that?
I love that question. Yeah. So for example, I live at the sea now, right? I can literally see, I've got a 3-paneled window in front of me with a sea view and a balcony right there with the door open because it's gorgeous here at the moment. And I can see the sea. And I've wanted to live by the sea forever. And I got to the point where I sat myself down and I went, okay, Kate, well, how do you, what do you want to do about that, right? You wanted to live by the sea forever. What are you going to do about it? And the answer was, move to the sea. Right? Like very, very simple and requiring action. And I do think that when you're someone who is naturally more inclined to this world of the unseen, right? The unseen, the intangible, you are a natural innate healer. You can feel energy. You are an empath, right? You feel emotions in other people's bodies. It's like sometimes actually the work is to, learn how to put your feet on the ground and take steps forward, right? Because however strongly I might visualize a beautiful bowl of pasta in front of me, at some point I have to get up and go to the kitchen and boil the water and cook the pasta, right? And like, yes, I can maybe boil the water in a kettle, or I can boil it in the pan. Like, I get to choose how, but I have to take those actions. And so for me, the manifestation game is finding that balance between what I call the magic and the mechanics, and doing the work to be tuned in to get free, right? Get free so that the dreams you're having are yours, right? And not what you think might look good to other people, for example, a true heart-centered. Again, I believe this is another way that spirit speaks to us, is through our desires, right? So really trusting your desires, trusting that your dreams know what's good for you, and they will lead you to good places, and that it's far more risky to ignore your dreams than it ever is to follow them. And then like get on the train, right? Go on. I went on Airbnb, and now I'm looking on Zoopla, right? Walk to the kitchen and boil the kettle, like take the actions. And this is the work that I love to do. It's the work I get to do every single day with coaches and healers to help them figure out their right actions for building a business. Because I think the other thing that can happen is you have to be a certain kind of person to be an entrepreneur, right? You have to be a little bit stubborn. You have to want to do things your own way. You have to be someone who wouldn't be content turning up at a job every day at the same time, walking to your desk, being told what to do and probably how to do it, going home at the same time, being told who you're going to work with, etc. You have that like desire for freedom, right? Of how you're making money in this world, and possibly of where you get to live, and time freedom and money freedom. And then that very same absolutely critical sort of character dynamic that set you off on the entrepreneurial journey in the first place, then it becomes a liability at some point, because you're always wanting to do it your own way. And we can make things so much harder than they need to be. And I think the thing about business is it is hard, right? You have to wear so many different hats. You have to learn so many different skills. It is hard. Let's stop making it harder than it needs to be, right? Let's start letting the parts that can be simple. And yeah, that's what I'm going to be sharing at my event. Did you want to share?
Tell us about it. You've got an event coming up. Tell us what the name of the event is, and what you'll be doing.
So the event is Pathway to Purposeful Profits, because for me, both of those things are so important, right? That we're having the success, we're having the financial success, we're having the profit, but we're also really deeply living into our purpose. And that also then the profit gets to then fuel the bigger purpose in the world. So at the Pathway to Purposeful Profits, that's where I'm going to be breaking down the bits that can be simple, right? And how we can have the simple strategies that mean that more people can be seeing us, and we can be growing that nurturing relationship with more people, and we can be bringing more people into our worlds so that we have more clients at the end of the day, right? And a bigger cash flow flowing through our businesses. I'm going to be breaking down the sums, the simple sums of the different kinds of ways, the different kinds of business models that will get you sustainably to a six-figure business without losing your integrity, without selling out. And I'm also going to be breaking down the simple skills, because it does feel sometimes like there are just millions of things you have to learn, and lots of people shouting like, this is the way, or this new tactic, or this new platform. But when we go underneath all of this, the tactics, there are really only two core skills required to become a successful six-figure business, if that's something you should want. And I'm going to be sharing those as well. So it's for people who are working in the world in a way which is purpose-led, spirit-led, who are tuned in, who are tapped in, and who are ready to be receiving much more money for the courage it's taking to share their magic in the world.
Amazing. So awesome. And we've got kind of a special little offer for people who are tapping into this conversation today. So we've got the link for this event coming up, and we've got a special little discount code.
We've
Tell
got
us
a
about.
very special discount code because you get to come at no cost. So the day, I know. So the day is £47, but if you follow Lara's link and then you use Lara in the place where it asks for a code, it will take the price all the way down to zero for Lara's wonderful, special, magical community.
Wow, that's amazing. And that's spelled Lara, just to be clear.
Yeah.
There's no U in my name. And then you'll get the event for free. That's amazing. And what high value. And you attract in such an amazing community of people as well. It's online as well, so easy to access, which is super. And gorgeous, what a lovely offer. Thank you so much for that. And highly recommend you show up to get clarity, to getting to that first 6 figures. Businesses can feel like a mountain, but it's actually, I think, does, like you're saying, I love it, simple, like keep it simple. It doesn't have to be as complicated as we make it in our brain. So I love that you've really broken that down for people in a way to like make it doable, so you can take that action to actually create the results. So that's brilliant that you've done that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's one of my bugbears, you know, when I see either people promoting strategies which aren't actually correct for the level of the people that they're marketing towards, or they're just sort of doing blanket marketing as if this is the secret that's going to heal everything for everyone, or just making things more complicated than it needs to be, when all these people are here with the gifts the world needs right now, right? But either having to go and spend time and energy working in a job to have the money to then do this on the side, or like trying really hard and going deeply into savings and getting frustrated about the fact that other people who are kind of seemingly less deep or less you know, authentic or less in integrity are just like whizzing past them and making tons of cash. It really hurts my heart, and I'm really excited for this day. I've got such like beautiful magical feelings whenever I tune into it, and we've currently got 77 people coming. It's an amazing community. Like Lara said, I must say I attract wonderful, open-hearted, really courageous, sort of intelligent and intuitive, like really caring people who are really up for making a difference in the world, but not just a difference, like their difference that feels true for them. So I would be absolutely excited to have those of you there that feels aligned for.
Beautiful. I can verify. Beautiful networking community. So thank you so much, Kate, for sharing your wisdom with us. And I mean, we could talk about all of these subjects in so much more depth. And so I really recommend coming to Kate's day event so you can dive even deeper, and just be in her energy and be in the energy with other people. And it can really boost that courage and confidence and give you energy. It's really important to be well supported in the right network. So don't miss it. Click on the link, put in the discount code Lara to get your free place and be transformed by this beautiful event. And thank you so much for coming and sharing your wisdom with us. It's really valuable. It's been gorgeous to connect with you today.
Thank you so much.